Acne Studios isn't a luxury fashion brand. Okay, maybe I don't necessarily agree with that take. Honestly, maybe I don't even know. After all, I am a big fan of Acne Studios. This beautiful acrylic piece, which is like a sculpture, was actually originally an installation in the Acne Studios store in Soho. I also own several Acne Studios pieces myself. My denim jacket, my cool cowboy shirt, this sweater, those sneakers, to name a few. In part, I've always liked Acne because the price point is accessible.
Hey, that's pretty good.
And the style is accessible. They're both accessible and appealing to me. But I started thinking about this question, whether or not Acne Studios is a luxury fashion brand, after reading an article in High-ness talking about their most recent menswear collection. And High-ness called it their most daring collection to date. And I think it really is. I think it really is their most daring collection, in part because each year, each season, Acne Studios' new garments collections have become more and more idiosyncratic. They've become more confident in their own style.
It was a very good year.
They're feeling themselves more each collection, each year. And I make that point because that certainly wasn't always the case. When Acne Studios started in earnest, the brand was only focused on premium denim. This was the 2000s. People did that. People cared about premium denim like that. And as it continued to exist and grow, it expanded into more and more garments, not just jeans, but it did get this moniker of being described as Scandinavian minimalism. And that isn't so off. In the early days of Acne Studios, a lot of their garments, their jackets, tops, bottoms that aren't jeans, a lot of those garments were, for lack of a better phrase, like elevated basics.
Like, it's not the vibe. Stop!
To make things clear, I think Acne Studios' previous assortments wouldn't be described as luxury fashion in the same way, say, Dior is a luxury fashion brand. That's not to say they can't change and potentially become or became a luxury fashion brand, but this question got me thinking about how non-concrete our definition or usage of luxury fashion and high fashion is. How do we define these things? A good place to start would be price. Acne Studios, if you're unfamiliar, its assortment isn't cheap. It wasn't cheap then, and it isn't cheap now, and I'm not deluded in thinking that these prices are anything less than expensive. Humor me for a second. Let's say we look at this Acne Studios hoodie. Basic hoodie for a basic boy or girl. It costs $470 US. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of damage. But let's say we compare Acne Studios to true heritage brands, quote unquote. How about Balenciaga and Gucci, for example?
You are Balenciaga, Harry.
Trying to find two basic hoodies off of their site, we come across one from Balenciaga that comes in around $1,000, and then one from Gucci that comes in over $1,300. These are both, for lack of a better term, basic hoodies, but they both are well closer to 1,000 compared to Acne, which is about 500. So what then? I mean, honestly, what the hell is my point, right? Like, $500 is still a ludicrous amount of money to spend on a hoodie. That makes it luxury. $1,300 is crazy person money, but all three of them are luxurious, right? Wrong! Well, I don't know. This is once again one of those ephemeral, confusing things. What does luxury mean in fashion? What does a luxury brand mean to us? Maybe you think I'm splitting hairs, but I think there is actually more going on. I think that this price point difference is only one indication of, I don't know what you want to call it, class system. And there's more stuff I want to talk about. There are more reasons I'm making this argument. Does any of this really matter? Maybe. Let's find out. you made it this far in the video and you like what you're watching, please leave a like. It means the world to me. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. There's more content like this all the time. It happens all the time. La 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 la. La. Like any bad speech, bad writing, and even a bad YouTube video,
Enemy spotted.
we'll begin by providing a dictionary definition of a word.
You stink!
Oxford English Dictionary defines luxury as the state of great comfort and extravagant living. Ooh, I like that last part. Extravagant living. I haven't found a garment yet that will unlock an extravagant life for myself, but I will keep looking until I die. And even though Google has given us a perfectly great definition of the word, sad, desperate souls are still going out seeking answers. People also asked, what's the true meaning of luxury? Oh me, oh my. I wish I could learn the true meaning of luxury. If I don't learn the true meaning of luxury before Christmas Day, then I'll turn into a unluxury for time immemorial. The lazy answer to the question, Merriam-Webster, reads, luxury is something desirable but costly or hard to get. Is that true? Is supreme luxury then? Because it's desirable and hard to get, right? Wrong! But obviously, I don't know, to you, me, the two of us, I would say supreme isn't luxury. I just did a video about it, check it out. But at least just based on that point case, these definitions for luxury aren't applicable for all of these different fashion brands that we're thinking about. Here's maybe another mind space. I've heard it said about luxury in cars. Luxury in motor vehicles is defined by its ability to offer convenience. A luxury car will offer advantages, features, extravagances, more than just, say, leather seats, nice material. For example, Mercedes-Benz S-Class, their highest echelon for sedans, has throughout the years offered new and innovative experimental features that would take years to trickle down to the rest of their cars. Think about like heated and cooled seats, massage seats, any kind of seat. At least that is one framework to think about luxury, and at least it makes my point further that while it seems pretty straightforward, if you asked me with a gun in the middle of the street, what is luxury? I would probably say expensive and nice materials. Is that all it is for fashion? I don't think so. Put the gun away. To further complicate the question, I asked for the input of fellow fashion YouTuber Fashion Lover 4. That's right, we're basically friends now.
Then I found my true passion through watching Brave New Wear videos.
Okay, clip that. Make sure we got that in
Oh
recording.
shit.
I pulled him aside and asked what he thought the definition of fashion and luxury was, and while you can't see it on screen, I was holding him at gunpoint. Tell me, like, how would you define luxury fashion?
First of all, you look at the word luxury, it applies to like obviously a lot of different markets, not just fashion. And I think that luxury is like different for every person. I think anything that's considered luxury is something that's just out of your reach, like monetarily. Like if you were to purchase that item, it would be like, oh, you know, I'm dipping into my savings here. And as you move up in, you know, salary, I guess, then the luxury becomes something like Louis Vuitton, right? That's like what a lot of people see as luxury, especially like, I guess, middle class people. And then as you move up, obviously, even for like millionaires, there's luxury clothing brands like Loro Piana, for example, who makes you pay €1,000 for or $1,000 for a t-shirt. Sorry about that.
Now, how would you define like high fashion?
That's a tricky one. I feel like everyone has their own kind of definition for high fashion. It's like a term that everyone kind of understands differently.
Part 2, is luxury fashion and high fashion the same thing? I think we typically think of them or use these words interchangeably. I might say that Givenchy is high fashion. I might say Givenchy is luxury fashion. I might do both of those things. Often the designs coming out of these brands are both luxurious and made in a way that is impressive or novel. I guess the question is, are we using these phrases interchangeably even though they refer to something of a very close together Venn diagram of what is luxury in fashion and what is high in fashion?
I guess technically, I guess there's no technicality. I don't know. What would Google say? It's anything that kind of shows on a runway. It's weird, because then also there are like Instagram brands, obviously, who don't show on runways, but still have a lot of creativity and artfulness behind that, and have the high price points. Is that high fashion? What do you think?
I think it's a Venn diagram, and we usually talk about these
Love
things
Venn diagrams.
interchangeably. Here's another take. While I think there is good reason to disagree, I often think the assortment provided in an Hermes store is luxury fashion, but not high fashion.
Damn, son.
A lot of the clothes you might find walking into your neighborhood downtown Hermes boutique will be very, very expensive, will be made exquisitely, chef's kiss, but it's often kinda like elevated basics. Often their offering is more or less like very rich guy outfitting, but not very rich guy flexing, so to speak. Is that just luxury and not high fashion? Can a brand be nice without being expensive? Like, is there a way to do high fashion without luxury fashion? What's your immediate thoughts?
It's interesting. You don't really see that is the thing, but I've also thought about this, and I guess it comes down to manufacturing, really. The biggest thing that decides a company's success a lot of the time, even outside of fashion, is logistics, right? It's like the actual manufacturing, the transportation, all this stuff. Even if you want to start off just making your own like custom cut and sew t-shirts, not like blanks, you're going to have to charge quite a lot, even just for a t-shirt, if you want to go through that whole process of getting them made.
Here's another thought experiment. Is there a brand that has incredible vision in design, innovative and compelling, but it isn't luxury? But here's my point. Here's the brass tacks. I think that either subconsciously or not subconsciously, these definitions, these words that we use to describe these brands, play a lot more into how we understand them, how we might appreciate them, than we might give credit for. Here's another book reco for all you book heads out there. Dana Thomas's Deluxe. And in this book, Deluxe, the author describes basically how the ideas about luxury and kind of the function of luxury brands has changed as these brands have gone from small ateliers tailoring only the most wealthy people to massive conglomerates that sell mass-produced products. A lot of the book is invested in defining what is luxury fashion, what it means to people, what it means to the brands themselves. And there are two pretty interesting quotes that I think help kind of illuminate how luxury fashion could mean so many different things. Former president of Chanel Europe is quoted in the book offering this definition of lug. And I'm gonna say lug instead of luxury because that's funny. At a minimum, it must be impeccable. Maximum, unique. It is the way you are spoken to, the way you are treated. Like the tea ceremony in Japan, the ritual, the respect, the transmission from generation to generation. Now, two things. I think the quote primarily just focuses on the nature of consuming a luxury good, being, treated like a rich guy. Luxury is essentially a service more than it might be a product. It's everything that you experience in the experience of buying a luxury good. Another interesting quote from the book comes from the designer Christian Louboutin. No relation. I see men who make luxury brands to make money, and I am working in the same industry, but I feel I have nothing in common with that. Luxury is the possibility to stay close to your customers, to do things that you know they will love. It's about subtlety and details. and this is good, Louboutin admits something important for our investigation. He's not just making those red bottoms for money. It's not just the money.
It's not about money.
It's about sending a message. It's about creating something unique that people will have an intimate connection with. This quote helps us say that luxury fashion isn't just inextricably tied to how expensive a thing is. The truth of the luxury is in the subtext. The kind of way that luxury exists, it's in the details. This is kind of where this is like the end point of what I have for my video already. I'm like, well, I can talk about how high fashion is this, or like how luxury fashion is this, and I can talk about how Acne Studios is changing, but. All right, so at this point, we've basically come full circle. And ultimately, I'm making the argument that, in fact, luxury is in the subtext, and so is high fashion. Both of these things exist in the every little minutia that designers and brands do in order to identify themselves or distinguish themselves from their competitors. And I think this is, in reality, a very influential thing. I think that people have an impulse to say that they don't really care about the branding, or they don't really care about X, Y, and Z. They only care about the clothes themselves. I think we say that, or we want to believe that, because we want to think of ourselves as more rational, more objective, and maybe less manipulated or less consumerist. You know, we want to believe that our hobby is something that is concrete and is something that is not shameful, because it would be shameful to be obsessed with something just because of like a commercial or whatever. But I don't think that that is necessarily a correct thing. I think that we are influenced by the brand in so many different ways, in the ways that they price their garments, in the ways that like Acne prices its clothes as being expensive, but like half the price of Dior, in the ways that Acne chooses colors, and the ways that Acne chooses to advertise and where it chooses not to advertise. All of these tiny things, I believe, actually influence whether or not I like the physical clothes. And all of these little things are a very well coordinated act in order to define its own version of luxury. Because I think that kind of defining luxury is something that these expensive brands are doing constantly every day. It is something they are thinking about in the 360 experience of, when you walk into a Chanel store, this is our definition of luxury. Our ads are this definition of luxury. Our clothes embody this definition. And I believe, frankly, that what Acne is doing now is defining their own definition of luxury and or of high fashion. It's not where they started, but these little things that seem maybe trivial or accidental, like the fact that their prices are still expensive but half of really expensive brands, I think is a very deliberate act in shaping that form of luxury. And ultimately, I think it matters. I think Louboutin was right when he was kind of talking about luxury as the every minutia he does in order to surprise and delight his audience. And I think that a good brand, whether it defines itself as a luxury brand or as a high fashion brand, I think that they are doing so many teeny tiny things that are shaping the way that we ultimately perceive their clothes. And that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What's your definition of luxury? Comment it down below, and I'll debate you, I guess. And as always, I'll see you guys soon.